The Board of Education of Florida approved new standards for covering how Black history will be taught in schools. And already I imagine there's a shiver running up your spine. You're wise to feel that because it's controversial is the word that's being used. We could probably come up with some other ones, and perhaps we will. The updated standards say students should learn that enslaved people, quote, developed skills, like on master class. That, quote, could be applied for their personal benefit. They can't leave. They can't get another job. They're slaves. If they try to leave, they will be beaten, possibly killed. Dear God. And we need to tell the state board of education these basic things. Anyway, it goes beyond that. They also say that in teaching about mob violence against Black residents, instructors should note, quote, acts of violence perpetrated against and by African Americans. Which, like on some level, perhaps makes sense. If you're teaching history, you want to teach the full breadth of history. There were slave rebellions, by the way, that I think should be taught. I personally think they should be taught because it's a demonstration of how horrendous things were that there needed to be literal rebellions. But that obviously is not the intent here. The intent is to both sides violence against slaves. Literal slavery, mass rape, death, families being broken up is now going to be both sized as, oh yeah, one time a slave master was killed, and I'm supposed to expend empathy for that. Anyway, it goes on to say that elementary school children should, quote, recognize Rosa Parks and Thomas Jefferson as individuals who represent the United States. Sure, on some level, I suppose, although I would throw in the fact that one of them was an owner of slaves, but the fear amongst many educators is that this is designed to take the full breadth of history and reduce it to, hey, there's a person. And that is not fundamentally what history is about. The significance of the people and what they did, the good and the bad, that is what history is about. Or at least that is what history was about and will continue to be outside of Florida. Waz, what do you think?
As unconscionable as these attempts are to sort of dumb down our public by way of our children who are the future, I think ultimately this attempt would be futile. It's obviously written up by people who don't really have a firm grasp of our country's history and are just worried about their sensitive fifis ever being offended at any point, right? Like just the idea that a white person might ever feel like in the past there were white people who existed who did things that were not great. Like this is just a ridiculous level of sensitivity that I don't understand. But I think the best teachers, quality teachers, like, yeah, okay, yes, we will talk about slave violence against their masters. Like, yes, who the hell else were they committing violence against, right? Like, it's not as if they got to commit violence against, everyday freed citizens. That was punishable by death. Like this idea that slaves were going out and doing it. And again, if we do an actual accounting of all of the ravages of the institution of slavery, any kid, I don't care how old they are, they're gonna look at that ledger and be like, yeah, the enslavement part is the messed up part here. All of these provisions they want to add in, it's not going to put, it's literally lipstick on a pig, essentially. Like it's not going to make slavery look better. There's no way if you actually take a real accounting of the truths of this institution, there's no way to make it look anything less than horrible.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna try, Waz. It seems ridiculous. I don't see how it could possibly be successful.
Good luck.
Look, the issue is, for a lot of people, I think that school is the best chance for them to learn it. There's no reason why it should be the only place that you learn things like, but the world is what it is. And, we can't hope that they watch a good documentary or an HBO series with an accurate depiction of racial violence. Like, I don't know, they're hoping in Florida that this will defang, a proper accounting of what really happened. It would seem like slavery of all things doesn't need to be both sides. But I'm not even 100% sure exactly what their position is. So you have conservatives in Florida that are like, hey, but did you know that slavery wasn't actually that bad? Meanwhile, the libertarians in New Hampshire are like, it is literally the same as slavery if I can't charge $1,000 for insulin. Oh, wait, so is it literally the slavery that's not actually so bad? Which slavery is it literally? I'm confused. But anyway.
Yeah, and I do think, John, to be honest, it's not as if I think about my own, what I learned about slavery in elementary, middle, and high school. It's not as if I got some detailed accounting of the institution. That's not even what happened. So, honestly, I don't feel too bad that they're trying to do this. Because again, it's not as if kids, especially in my generation, were coming out of school and having a very deep understanding about how, exploitation works and how racism and discrimination work in concert with that exploitation for actual money. I think that's the thing that gets lost in this. It's like they did slavery for money. Right, yeah. Like the reason why they did it was to get paid. I don't know that was actually even taught to us in school, where it's just like, here's this thing that gets us really rich. Here's this other thing, racism, that justifies it. Right, which is the same thing that we do throughout every single generation. Like the way that we explain poverty in America, both black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever. Oh, those people, they don't deserve to live great lives with dignity like the rest of us. They're lazy, they're stupid, they're indigent, it's their culture, blah, 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 blah. Like we see these ideas get reinforced where, we have a very exploitative system and then we have this thing that justifies it. We weren't even taught it that way in high school and middle school. It's almost as if slavery just appeared and racism just appeared as this magical thing. And it didn't have this actual utility of enriching some people. Like people got very rich off of all of this free labor.
100%.
And so that's why I'm just like, look, man, if these people want to give them a watered down version of the hogwash they're giving us anyway, it's hard for me to get too riled up,
100%. No, I'm glad that you focused on that. Yeah, that this was not like, it wasn't like the slave masters desperately needed this help so they could survive the coming winter. No, they wanted to have more money. And by the way, doing any of these acts is utterly evil in any context, but like you guys did it for money in a time when, and look, this is gonna be the dumbest critique of slave masters ever. Like what? So you could have like a better effing candle or whatever, like a different horse. There wasn't even good stuff to buy, and you were so, God, I will never understand the rich. I will never understand why they feel they need to have that much money. You guys didn't have zippers, I don't think, back then. What were you accruing all of this wealth for?
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.